know someone who is on welfare? Can I get a show of hands? And then how many of you know someone who has been on welfare for more than a decade? Now, how many of you know several households from the same family who are on welfare? Okay, so obviously our welfare system in the United States needs a reform. Now, I don't want you guys to think that I'm against welfare, because I realize that there are circumstances beyond people's control where they need public assistance. However, some people have made it a way of life. In order to cease this problem of epidemic proportions, I think that drug testing for welfare needs to be mandated. In today's society, people with lower economic status are not being held accountable. The working middle class has to be drug tested to keep their jobs. So why should welfare recipients not be drug tested when they apply for public assistance and tested randomly throughout the time they are receiving the benefits? When Bill Clinton signed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act, he did it with the idea that people on welfare would use it to get by, and once work was available, they would no longer be on it, so use it temporarily. The history of welfare has been around for 80 years, but as a country, we have been helping the needy long before then. According to welfare.com/history, when we had the 13 colonies, there were such laws known as the British Poor Laws. Welfare really began in the United States during the Great Depression. They were teaching people morals, ethics, and how to really work so they could get back in the job field. President Clinton, in 1996, signed an act giving states lump sums to pass out to the families who qualified for welfare. In the history of welfare, our government tried their hardest to encourage families to make it a temporary assistance, but as you can see with our economic status of the United States now and the government in general, it's not anything like that. According to welfare.com, in a 2008 survey, there were 740,347 people on food stamps in Indiana. That number is 21.8% greater than the same survey that was taken in 2007, a year before. To apply for welfare today, there are many things that play a part in seeing if you are eligible, such as pregnancy, income, household size, unemployment, and their current housing. There's a problem with the generations of needy families. It's becoming an epidemic. There are generations of families watching their parents and grandparents not working and living off the government, which hurts the middle class the most. And it's proven that children learn from their parents. So if a child is watching their parents and their grandparents not work, then they're just going to learn to not work and, oh, I can live off the government. What needs to happen, though, is that we need to stand up as a country and as a state and elect individuals who want to better this country. We need a major welfare reform, and I believe that drug testing is the beginning to this reform. Arizona was the first state to implement a law that had to do with drug testing for welfare. However, Florida followed shortly after. There have been debates in Florida over this topic, though, because last year implementing the drug test apparently cost more money than previous years when they didn't do it. But my opinion on that is that it is worth the money because we are holding the people of Florida accountable. Rather than them spending money on illegal drugs, they're going to use it to be beneficial to their current economic problem. An example of this is if you're going to be weighed on Monday, you're going to watch what you eat through the week, and you're not going to eat like a hog on Sunday night because you know that you're going to be getting weighed on Monday. So people who either are on drugs or they're really not on drugs, they want to make sure that they're doing the right things if they really need that welfare and if they're really relying on that welfare. So after Florida losing money this past year, people have thought that drug testing is a dud. The question here is drug testing welfare recipients worth the expense? Yes, Florida did lose money this past year, but according to USA Today, they didn't have as many people applying for welfare, and they didn't have as many people doing the drug test. So yes, they would have people apply, but then once they found out that they had to be drug tested, they didn't go through the drug testing because most of them knew that they wouldn't pass it. USA News held a poll, and I'm going to share with you two of the arguments so you can better form an opinion on this topic. U.S. Representative Jack Kingston states, "Why pay someone not to work when he has voluntarily taken himself out of the hiring pool?" I agree with Kingston because if we're giving them everything they need, like their house bill, like giving them money for the house, for their food, giving them cell phones now, like they have no incentive to work. So, I mean, if you're getting everything handed to you, you're not going to want to go out and do labor for 8 hours when you really don't have to. And then another side of it is Peter Capelli, who is a professor, states, "Drug testing welfare recipients is an intrusion into private lives not consistent with U.S. values." And my reply to that is, anyone who's in the job field today has either been drug tested for that job, and they're most likely being drug tested randomly to keep their job. So why is it that people who don't even have a job, who want to get money from the government, like why shouldn't they be drug tested? That's my question towards that. But now I'm going to show you guys a short video clip that shows both sides of my argument.
More than 20 states are considering drug testing welfare recipients. Supporters say they're protecting taxpayer dollars. Critics question the justification. First to Georgia, where the Senate recently passed the controversial legislation. WGCL explains.
The bill's supporters said goal is to make sure people don't spend state money on illegal drugs.
Virginia, Wyoming, Texas, and Florida are among other states that have recently debated the legislation's merits. Utah State Senator Aaron Osmond says the bill he's sponsoring will be good for those who need help with drug abuse. Here's KSTU.
It's important to understand that this bill does not limit them or keep them or their family from receiving benefits. It enables them to access drug treatment and continue to receive these benefits along the way.
But critics argue mandating drug tests isn't even necessary, WFTV notes.
Initial evidence shows few positive tests.
The Department of Transportation, with more than 6,000 employees, only had 2 positive tests of the over 500 that was done.
And KTVT spoke with a Texas Democrat who calls the move a slippery slope.
You're stigmatizing or scapegoating poor people, but next could be better. Next could be college students.
The CBS affiliate also points out the cost for Texas taxpayers.
Drug testing at $10 each could cost the state some $3 million a year.
Others are concerned the bill might be unfair to those already struggling. WAGA has more.
We need to require these individuals to seek some sort of professional development because of the circumstances that they're in presently. That is just wrong.
In a letter to the editor of USA Today, one reader says if fairness is such an issue, what's wrong with making it a requirement? The preposterous notion that requiring drug tests before and during receipt of public assistance unfairly stigmatize people receiving public assistance is a joke. If it's about being fair, then let's be fair to those employed who are providing the money for the assistance. A federal judge recently ordered Florida to stop implementing its recently passed drug testing law, which is similar to what other states are thinking about implementing. For Newsy, I'm Logan Tittle. Multiple sources, the real story.
Now, in conclusion, I believe that drug testing for welfare is a step towards our welfare reform that we desperately need. We obviously need to step up on something, and this is a way to make sure that we are giving our money to worthy people who aren't wasting it on things like illegal drugs or things that they really don't need. Children have the right to grow up with working parents, teaching them work ethic, and parents who are not living off of taxpayers' dollars and doing drugs and not putting their children first. So that is my speech, and I hope you all enjoyed it.